All right, hello, folks. Welcome to another, I guess, more or less a race day slash race vlog, and this is Thursday, September 16th, and this Sunday, I think the 19th. That's when Ironman Washington 70.3 is going to happen, and just want to give a little bit of an update with where I'm at with my training, more or less, actually, really with a taper. Kind of a taper. I'm kind of training through it, and then some of the prep that I've got to do still remaining. As you can see in the back there, my tri bike is still on the trainer, which is I've got to get this bike off the trainer. And the main reason why I was on was more or less is to make sure that I was able to get some of my bike workouts in, but. Aside from that, I'm gonna take this out for about an hour and do my easy ride. I had a 2,300 yard swim today, just keeping it easy and find what the race pace rhythm is. Nothing too complicated, nothing to burn matches and whatsoever. So with that, I'll see you guys out on the bike here once I get things set up and disassembled, and talk to you guys in a bit. Alright, I'm out on the bike course. Well, not the bike course, but the Lake Sammamish Trail, or Sammamish River Trail. Geez, I can't get my thoughts around right. But, so, now I'm just going into easy, steady cruise. 8 miles in, I rode along some of the faster roads, so got my speed work in. Just more or less trying to get into the aero position, get myself familiar with what it's like to crank out power on the flat roads. Nothing too intensive. And again, this is more going on feel and hitting the numbers where I need to. The biggest thing for me is about power management, making sure that I'm fairly steady with the output. And I know I'm flying along here in this trail, but again, I'm only putting in about 150 watts. Actually, going 20 miles an hour, so I probably have a tailwind with me and helps speak in the aero position as well. So, but overall, thoughts going into this race, as you can see from the camera here, it's a bit cloudy. A little bit of a walk. There we go. It's a bit cloudy. And for the most part, I think it's gonna start raining tonight. On your left. And it's gonna be a wet one on Friday going into Sunday. They say 60%, that means, yeah, it's gonna be a soaker. This reminds me a lot of Atlantic City 70.3, where, yeah, we had thunderstorms for both those races. Got soaked on both those races on the bike course. The biggest thing is making sure that you do it steady and you don't overthink it. That's really the biggest mistake that I think folks do when it comes to riding in wet weather for what's going to be a wet race. So it's easier, of course, now that pavement is dry.
I swapped out to GP 5000 tires, which is kind of my normal race tires, but I don't have any, unfortunately, I don't have any rain tires with me. I should probably invest in a pair of good rain tires, although there might not be such a thing. So, for the most part, yeah, again, just take it easy, just getting the feel, and knowing that it's going to be a long day on Sunday, but got a lot of friends that are doing a lot of races this weekend. Got, of course, 70.3 World Championships in St. George. Got a couple buddies out there raring to go on a Saturday. It's going to be nice. Hot, but it's going to be nice. And then also got Ironman Maryland, as well as Ironman Muncie. Got a couple folks doing those races. So it's going to be a lot of activity on the Ironman Tracker app coming this weekend. See how people are doing as we get into the fall season. I'll talk a little more when I get back, once I'm done with my easy ride here. Again, this is mainly just to get the feel back on the tri-bike, since it has been about a week since I've been on this rig. But so far so good. I've got to repair the rear brakes, or in this case I got to sand down the rear brakes, and then I think we should be good to go. The front brakes are still operating just fine, but the rear brakes, right now there's no gripping power, so I still got a lot on it. So that's what happens when you try to go around a tight corner on a tri-bike. But hopefully they'll repair this section sooner than later. But overall, feeling pretty good. I'm kind of training through this race because I've got the Chicago Marathon and Oceanside 70.3. That's happening at the end of October. That's kind of my finale race, and then take about a month off. But with that, yeah, so talk a little bit more about my thoughts going into the race once I get back home. But so I'll go and finish this training ride here. Still got about 5.5, 6 miles left to get back home. So with that, see you guys back there.
All right, I finished the ride and back at home after a good dinner, and I figured I want to give a little bit of a recap for kind of my thoughts going into Ironman Washington 70.3, and there are a couple tips here that I've written down just to more or less summarize what my thoughts are going into this race. And the first thing is going to be safety first. I do want to make it out in one piece, and so these both kind of go together in one place, but safety. Last thing I want to do is get myself injured on race day like I did with Oregon 70.3. So I have battle scars to bear with it, and it's the last thing that's kind of really on my mind. I will admit that I've kind of thought about worst case scenarios, but I've kind of gone through that phase and now just really focusing on zoning into the plan, which is the second bullet point, is stick with your plan. And it's going to be wet. It's not going to be the most pleasant of races that I've been at. I'm expecting kind of the worst in terms of just rain throughout the entirety of what I think is going to be 5.5 hours of racing. Now, I have goal times to be a little under that, but really, I don't really have a goal time in mind here, because every race, every 70.3 conditions, it's really hard to be extremely consistent with a 70.3 distance race. Only the shorter distance races are things where, okay, I've got a set time in mind. So for this race, it's more really about executing on the general strategy that I have. And that's more or less is just keeping it solid, keeping it steady, maintaining the rhythm as long as you can, and not overdoing it on the bike, so not putting out heavy wattage on the bike in the beginning and more or less attack more towards the end, especially in the last climb. I'm going to be having a plan to view that video that I made a couple of weeks ago towards the, I think it was mid-August. I can't remember exactly, but the video is in my channel, so feel free to go and check that out. But I'm going to review that video a couple times just to cycle through how many or how steep some of those climbs are, and really more or less think about, okay, what's the power that I want to put out at that moment. So view that a couple of times, and again, stick with the plan, stick with nutrition, don't do anything that's super funky. And then, of course, as it relates to safety first, just finishing in one piece. The last thing I want to be is in many different pieces and ending up in a hospital, especially because COVID is still around. So please mask up. And there's masks that are required for all events, at least to the date that I'm recording this. COVID is still around, so again, want to finish in one piece. And most importantly, even though it's going to be a little bit hard to do this because it's going to be raining, and that is to have fun. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey that it took to get to this point. It may have been a little bit rough to get there, or it may have been really well for you. For me, it's been on the rough side. Had 3 weeks of 1,000 plus TSS. Workload, which is quite high, and with work being really stressful, that only added to the stress. And over this past week, it's been a little bit easier, but at the same time, it has been a little bit stressful, just from a work standpoint. So, and that, of course, is factoring into how ready I feel. I cut out there, so. But I was saying it's going to be wet out there, so just gotta go and get ready and just deal with how the conditions go there. So that's my thoughts for race day. And so again, if you like the content of this video, feel free to go and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification if you want more of this type of content. I'll also be doing the race vlog on Friday and showing you around a little bit of the transition area. And that stated, I'll see you out on the course, and I'll see you in Maple Valley.